There is a concept, or there is a tendency when referring to Africa to sort of lump it all together and assume that there's always a military unrest, coups, and basically social unrest. Not the case in Mongolia, though. I mean in Mozambique, though. This is a country with a constitution, a democratic country
yes.
within the African continent. Very stable, correct?
It has been stable for the last 20 years.
20 years, okay.
Yes, it obviously had a experience with civil war back in the 70s and 80s, and after the normalization of and sort of reconciliation in early 19s, since then the country has been on a strong track in terms of economic growth, and it has been very stable.
Alisher, how does Mozambique avoid going down the same road as Nigeria? Look at the prospects there. Huge oil producer, OPEC member, largest oil producer in Africa, and yet it's beset by ethnic problems, militancy and unrest. What can Mozambique do to prevent that situation? How can it distribute its revenue more equitably? Through a fund like what Norway does? Is that the solution?
Yes, setting up the Sovereign Wealth Fund would be a solution for Mozambique, and also investing heavily into infrastructure. And we're talking about not only the physical infrastructure in terms of the power stations, the roads and the airports, but also about social infrastructure in terms of the healthcare, education. And so we've been quite impressed by quality of the governance in Mozambique, and we believe that Mozambique has a very good chances of not repeating the mistakes that some of these African resource-rich countries went through, like Nigeria.
Alisher, tell us a little bit about the kind of returns investors can expect if they decide to allocate some of their money into Mozambique. And how's that sell been going when you're trying to raise capital from investors?
Well, we just launched our Silk Road M3 fund, which invests in Mozambique, Myanmar, and Mongolia. These are three countries that we believe in the universe of frontier markets globally represent one of the most attractive opportunities for investors. That fund, which was launched last month, is already up 5%, and our Mozambique-related equity holdings are one of the best performing.
What's the depth like in this market? I mean, can you get in and out? Is there enough liquidity? I imagine it's pretty thin.
It is in terms of the local market, indeed, but we believe that with the mineral wealth and the natural gas development there, with the fact that Mozambique, in our assessment, will go through the same process as Mongolia has been going through in terms of teaming up maybe with a larger stock exchange, but perhaps in case of Mozambique it could be South African Stock Exchange, and we believe there will be a significant IPOs domestically, and I'm not talking about next month, but we're talking about a couple of years down the road. So while the local market is still relatively liquid, another way for us to get exposure to Mozambique is by investing in a number of international listed equities that have assets and operations in Mozambique.
Right.
Yeah, Alisher, listen, I want to step back and ask you a strategic resource question with regards to natural gas and Mozambique. Once they start monetizing, do they have a better chance of breaking Qatar's stranglehold on supplying Asia or Gazprom's stranglehold on supplying Europe?
It's a very interesting question, Martin. Indeed, Mozambique is in a very unique strategic situation and location, being equidistant between the key markets, global LNG markets globally, and that's the Asia and Europe. And so in that sense, it has advantage over Australia, for example, which is primarily going to be targeting the Asian market. And indeed, one of the reasons why the executives in the global oil and gas industry are so much excited about Mozambique, it's this massive natural gas discoveries over the last 2 years, incredible, unprecedented rate of success in finding those natural gas, as with the extensive drilling campaign. Yes, and we believe that Mozambique, in the next 10, 15 years, as it develops its LNG industry, will be able to rival Qatar.
Wow.
Alisher, so could you put a time frame on that? I've been hearing that Mozambique could become a gas exporter by 2018. Does that sound fair to you as an assessment?
Yes. Absolutely. And one of the things that gives us encouragement in terms of that timetable is the fact that you have Eni, Anadarko now being backed by a very large Asian groups, CNPC deal that Sri just mentioned, and also there are a number of Indian, Korean and Japanese groups, from Mitsui to Korean Gas to Bharat Petroleum. These groups are members of the consortia that are developing this Area 1 and Area 4 in the Rovuma Basin, and that is important in terms of the providing the billions of dollars of funding, but also as the off-takers of that gas. So therefore, I believe the gas delivery starting from 2018 is quite realistic.
Last quick question for you, Alisher. As Sri mentioned, in his very incisive setup, talking about some of the high and low points of the country, bulk of the people still live in poverty. What are the chances of a national, asset or resource grab at some point down the line when, the people see what's going on? Is that a risk?
It's a risk, obviously. I mean, you see
Big
what's
risk?
happening.
What do you sense? What's your sense?
Well, I think it is resource nationalism is a constant risk in frontier markets, and one has to really accept this as but we believe that the long-term story in Mozambique is quite attractive, and therefore we're ready to be an earlier and patient investor in that market.
Okay, Alisher, always a pleasure. Okay. Have a good time in Hong Kong at the conference. You got the 3 M's now.
Yes, indeed.
You're your own 3M.
That's right.
Those countries. Alisher Ali, CEO, Silk Road Management. We'll be back at the bottom of the hour.